Power, to most men, is a thing to be worshipped, feared, or pursued. To Diogenes, it was simply another illusion, perhaps the most dangerous of all. In his ragged cloak, armed with nothing but wit and contempt, Diogenes stood before the mighty and stripped them bare. He exposed rulers as prisoners of their own authority, generals as slaves to their ambition, and kings as men who had forgotten how to be human. He did not flatter. He did not tremble. He did not bow. Diogenes believed that no man who desires power is fit to wield it, and that no man who possesses it can be trusted to see the truth. In his defiance, he offered not only satire, but liberation, from the fear and obedience that keep the powerful in power. His most famous confrontation with power came in the form of Alexander the Great, the man who had conquered the known world and who came, in awe and curiosity, to meet the dog of Athens. Diogenes, sunbathing in the dirt, did not rise. When Alexander approached and offered to grant him anything, the philosopher looked up and said, "Yes, stand out of my sunlight." The words passed into legend not as insult, but as revelation. The king who ruled the world was nothing but an obstacle to a man who needed nothing. In that moment, Diogenes conquered the conqueror. This was no mere performance. Diogenes believed deeply that the pursuit of power was incompatible with the pursuit of virtue. A ruler must surround himself with flatterers, manipulate the masses, and bind himself to fear of losing what he has gained. Even the just ruler, if there could be such a thing, must swim in a sea of compromise. Diogenes wanted no part of it. He did not want to rule others, and he refused to be ruled. When asked what city he belonged to, he called himself a citizen of the world. When sold into slavery, he declared that his rightful place was to command men. This was not arrogance, but irony, meant to unmask the absurdity of titles and positions. He did not believe in social rank, because he knew virtue could not be assigned by birth or role. Diogenes exposed the fragility of those in power. He saw that most authority rested not on wisdom or justice, but on the fear of the governed. Remove the robes, strip away the ceremony, and what remains is a man, as weak and foolish as any other. And yet, the world obeys him, not because he is better, but because they have been trained to kneel. Diogenes refused to kneel. He walked barefoot, unwashed, and uninvited into the houses of the wealthy and spoke as an equal or as a superior. He would rather be beaten than be silent. His independence was absolute, and that made him more terrifying to the rulers of the world than any army. His rejection of power extended to its symbols. He mocked laws that served the rich and punished the poor. He ridiculed ceremonies that celebrated empty status. He spat at those who confused obedience with order. He would bark at politicians as he would at a vain actor or a foolish priest. In doing so, he reminded everyone that power demands pretense, that the powerful must maintain an image of control, and that image can be shattered with a single honest laugh. Diogenes provided that laugh again and again, until his enemies could only dismiss him as mad. But madness, as Diogenes wielded it, was a disguise for clarity. He had no ambition to overthrow governments or lead revolutions. He knew that power was a game that could not be won without becoming a player. Instead, he stepped outside the game entirely. He lived in public but answered to no one. He owned nothing and so could not be bribed. He feared nothing and so could not be silenced. This was his rebellion, not with weapons or decrees, but with the refusal to participate in the lie. What does it mean to stand against power with nothing but truth? It means being willing to live without protection, without status, and without praise. Diogenes endured cold, hunger, and mockery, but he never surrendered his independence. He showed that the freest man is not the one with the most power, but the one who has no need for it. The king sits on a throne surrounded by guards. Diogenes slept in the street and was guarded only by his indifference. Yet which of them was more secure? In his war against power, Diogenes did not seek to be admired. He sought to be free, and to expose the unfreedom of those who pretended otherwise. The power of Diogenes lies in this, that he made of his poverty a crown, of his honesty a sword, and of his life a living argument that no one has authority over a man who needs nothing and fears no one. He could be insulted, arrested, even enslaved, but never ruled. In the shadow of empires, Diogenes stood alone and unbent, the one man the king could not conquer, because he had already conquered himself.